Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Class 1A podcast for episode 20 of season 5 of My Hero Academia. My name is Andrew Nims, and I'll be your host. Alongside me, I have my co-hosts Dylan Beal and James Graham, as always. And how are you two feeling about the kickoff of My Villain Academia?
I'm feeling good. I saw the little intro change and instantly brought a smile to my face. I'm hyped for it.
Not much of an intro change though, you know what I mean? Like I was like I knew it was coming and I'm like give me something, give me a
Yeah,
brand new banger, give me something, you know, and I was just like, oh, it's a slight variation.
that's what I thought too. I mean, we'll talk about that more, but I'm like, oh, they're like waiting till like 2 minutes in the episode, 3 minutes in the episode, a little later than normal, because they're going to
Yeah.
drop a new opener. Like, this could be the first time you ever got a third opener with that. And but
No.
just opening up the Hulu app, which is what I watched on, and see the episode titled My Villain Academia just gave me excitement that I didn't know an episode title ever could. Because I know we've all read the manga a little bit, or at least all know kind of an idea of what's coming up here. And that is just incredibly exciting coming into this arc that everyone's been talking about on social media for, I don't know, since the first episode, even before the first episode of season 5 came out, how excited everyone was for this. And I think it was off to a pretty good start. But before we do jump into the recap and everything like that, if you guys are looking for other My Hero Academia content, you can go over to youtube.com/class1a. We do all kinds of My Hero Academia content. We do the manga recaps for both Vigilantes and the main series. We do lore videos, speculation videos, and all kinds of more on top of these anime recaps each and every Saturday. So check that out there. Otherwise, if you do want to check out the anime recaps on the go, you can go over to any podcasting platform if you like. Type in Class 1A and find us there as well to listen on the go. And if you do that, make sure to leave the 5-star review. Helps other people do it. Or if you are watching this video on YouTube, leaving a like helps more people find it. It shows up YouTube algorithm. You know how that works. So that'd be super appreciated as well. But with that, let us jump into the recap of everything that happened in episode 20, titled My Villain Academia. Episode starts off back where episode 19 ended, with the doctor looking over Shigaraki, laughing over how well some kind of power transplant is going. We see a quick flashback to Kirigiri and Shiggy talking about how All For One is gone now the League of Villains is weaker, but a great power has been left behind for them that Kirigiri can go get whenever Shigaraki demands. It seems that Shigaraki tells him to go because the conversation leads to a 2-month jump back in time where Machia now stands in front of the League of Villains. Shigaraki is very excited as this is the power that Kirigiri mentioned. Suddenly, Machia slams into the ground and starts attacking the League of Villains, and their attacks can't really do anything to stop them. Over a radio, the doctor fills us in on some information. Machia was once All For One's pretty much #1 bodyguard that was kind of hidden behind all of the heroes because they're out of fear of being defeated, and now he's not going to accept Shigaraki even though he's the next heir of All For One because he's too weak. The doc uses a voice recording to calm down Machia temporarily and then summons the League to his laboratory, whatever you want to call it. The doctor is kind of pushing Shigaraki and seeing if he's going to be worth the devotion of the doctor. During it, we get to see a little bit more about how All For One came to find Shigaraki and Shigaraki's overall backstory, and we learned that for sure all of his hands are those of his old family, and that we kind of get an idea of this all the way back in season 1 where he called one of his hands father, but this is pretty much confirming that every hand on his body is a family member from an incident that happened back in his childhood that he doesn't quite remember, he only has fragments of memories from, and the doctor ends up saying that he'll provide full support to the League of Villains and Shigaraki if they can make Machia kneel to Shigaraki. Kind of another jump in time to a month and a half later, still fighting with Machia. They fight for a little over 48 hours and then get 3 hours of sleep. Machia is always going after Shigaraki and Shigaraki only, and no matter how far they run or hide, he's always able to instantly find them. So the rest of the League of Villains kind of sleeps and does other things in shifts so that some are always fighting alongside Shigaraki. But despite all this, Shigaraki is still feeling confident that he can win and smiling the whole time. During one of the rest periods, Twice gets a call from Giran, who turns out to be Re-Destro, as Giran is being held hostage by the Meta Liberation Army. We get a little bit of information about Meta Liberation Army and Re-Destro, but not too much. But pretty much Re-Destro says that he wants the League of Villains to either submit to the Meta Liberation Army or be destroyed. They have to show up to Dika within an hour, where countless pro heroes are going to be called on to him as a satellite has been locked onto their location. Shigaraki ends up planning on going to Dika, even though most League of Villains don't, with the plan of Mach being sicking Machia on the entire army that Meta Liberation Army is boasting about. DC's going to wake up in about 2 hours' time and use that to their advantage to get back here and pretty much destroy the Meta Liberation Army that's now trying to take them down. And that's where the episode ends, setting up probably a huge fight that is going to be happening next week. I'm incredibly excited for. I'll let you guys kind of start with wherever. I think just kind of talking about My Villain Academia, the change in the opener, some of the new character designs that we kind of saw, I talked about a little in the pre-show, or just kind of whatever first topics you want to talk about with My Villain Academia as a whole kicking off.
Yeah, so I just want to like paint the picture of what this really is. And I think it's like really cool because like throughout the series, like we've been with the series for what, like 5 seasons now. And over the course of like a year at school, and like we've seen all the heroes grow and their friendships really come together. And I'm like, we got a little hint at this, but I'm hoping we get it more of like the villains are doing this too. Like, it's not just the heroes that are growing, but like the villains have like come together and they're like actually like kind of friends now with each other, and they're growing and they're getting stronger. And like with them like kind of talking about like what's coming next, it seems like we're just going to get more of that. And I don't know, I think it's cool because it's something that's not like touched upon a ton in a lot of shows, of where like the villains are growing with the heroes like in the same time.
Yeah, it draws a really nice parallel. It's not, I mean, it's not like Monster of the Week sort of thing, or like, I mean, even shows that don't do traditional Monster of the Week, but you always had them heroes scaling up and then fighting like a bigger bad, right? And this time it's now, these are the same villains that have been here since like day one, except they're just doing the same, leveling up that the main characters are. So I think, yeah, I don't think you see it really that often. I'm trying to like draw a similarity to another popular anime, and I can't really think of one off the top of my head. Can you, Dylan? Like,
No, I mean, there's plenty of situations where there's a core group of villains, but you don't ever see them growing more powerful. Maybe they'll unlock a new power or show off a new power every so often, like the spiders in Hunter x Hunter or the Akatsuki in Naruto. Like, you always see them go on adventures and do things in the world that impact things, but you don't ever see them going through an actual training arc that is the highlight of the series. I mean, maybe some of them will be in filler episodes in Naruto where you see them growing stronger and actually going through events like this. But they changed the title for this to My Villain Academia. They had new title cards. They had all kinds of new elements in it that this is clearly going to be something that's probably going to take up the rest of the seasons, which we've been predicting, about 5 episodes here, are going to be just on the League of Villains, which is pretty unprecedented. And it's all about Shigaraki becoming, obviously having Machia kneel to him, having the doctor support, probably has something to do with whatever the Middle Liberation Army is, either destroying them or maybe getting them to submit or coming under the Middle Liberation Army, kind of like what they did with the Shigaraki. So it's all about setting up whatever season 5 is going to be, that it's a training arc for the villains, and I love that. And I think that's what makes it so unique and why so many people are excited to see this.
Yeah, you can't not be excited to see like this other side of the other side of the coin, right? Like, I mean, it's so weird, right? Like it's so different that it's just like, damn, okay, we're gonna have some real character development. Like, I mean, you get it, like you get the one-offs, but I mean, yeah, this is like straight up devoted time, and that's it. You're not sharing it with Midoriya or anything like that. It's, this is Shigaraki show, and that's like it.
Yeah, and I think it's cool because like we love the villains here. We love the League of Villains. Like, if you look at like My Hero merch, it's like split. It's either like, the heroes that we know and love from Class 1A, or it's the villains. You have a Toga t-shirt or something, or like you have a Dabi on something. Like, people love these characters, and like that's like kind of unique for shows. Like, obviously, like people love villains in a lot of shows, but like the amount that people like are dedicated to like this group, I think is like really, really high. And it's cool to see them getting a payoff like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And I was just even going to say, like, not even just talking about the story, I just feel like even their character designs had more love than normal. I talked about this last episode, I mean, right before we started jumping in and recording here. I'm like, was this whole episode just the A-Team with every single scene? Because it's been so long since we've even seen the villains, really, that I thought just it was the A-Team the entire time. It was really just probably the kind of the season refresh, but I thought Machia kind of had a different character design that looked awesome. I think Shigaraki's new outfit looked great. Dabi, Toga, everyone that we saw, every moment I was looking at them, I feel like I noticed the difference in characters and how good they looked more than any other one, which is really showing that they want to put love, hopefully, into this arc. Obviously, some things are probably going to be taken out here and there, but overall, this is going to be an amazing arc. And if these battles are as good as what they're being set up to be, could be a favorite arc of all time for a lot of people, which is so cool that it's about the villains. It's not even about Bakugo, which is usually where most favorite episodes come from. Let's be honest.
Yeah, there's a lot of complaints about last arc too. A lot of people did not like the speed of it, right? So I mean, like, this is very much let's see if we can reel them back in. So I don't know. I'm excited to see. I agree though. Like Dobby looked like, I remember like it was this like specifically when it panned to Dobby, I was like he looks cleaner. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I couldn't put my finger on it. Like I don't know, but yeah. And of course our girl Toga just blowing all their bank on fresh drip. Like
It was a good coat. I like the coat.
It's
a good coat.
It is nice. Also, Spinner with no mask. Like
that looks
I kinda
weird.
like. It's a good look for him, eh? Like
I like. Have we never seen him without a mask at this point? But we hadn't. But I'm like, that's not what I thought he looked like under the mask. Even though the mask only covers this much of his face, it was still
right?
just
like,
a shock.
Yeah,
but
he like it was nice that they painted him as like the narrator too, which I kind of liked. Like, I was into that.
But I think we should kind of shift over a little bit more towards a little bit of information learned about Shigaraki, the doctor, kind of the whole Machia getting to kneel here. And I think the most interesting part of it is last episode we talked about how Deku's doctor is now apparently the doctor that created all the Nomus. Now we know that. This is before high ends have been kind of put out into the world now. And pretty much you say like, hey, I'm going to help you do the same thing I did for All For One. There's some kind of giant power boost that Shigaraki is getting right now in current time period. And he has had to earn it. So I like that kind of idea that it's not like, oh, All For One's gone, so everyone just instantly hands over power to Shigaraki. Like, no, he still needs to prove himself because he's kind of been this angsty gamer boy this entire time, and now he needs to kind of step up to it. So I really kind of like the whole moment with the doctor and kind of having that mentor-like figure for Shigaraki, I think kind of balances out his very edgy attitude still, which I felt like I really like the chemistry between them, if you want to call that chemistry.
Yeah, so the one thing I wanted to draw attention to here that like just clicked for me, that like Horikoshi likes to do a lot of parallels and like mirrors of things. And like it's obvious that like Deku and Shigaraki are like the two, right? They both like come from the next generation of these like great heroes and villains. And they also have the same doctor.
That is kind of cool, actually. How do you like that?
Yeah. I like, man, like imagine, like I felt so bad for Machia because I'm like, imagine going from having your former masters All For One, like literally like this unstoppable force, and then you get like presented like this little dickhead, right? Like, I mean, it's like I felt like when he started crying, I was like, man, that's genuine, like that's upsetting, right? Like imagine being that distraught, right? Like oh man, it hurt to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be fun. I mean, I know kind of now that we've kind of talked through this and this already would have happened in the manga a little bit, but I mean, I feel like there was like a good chapter or two of kind of the fights with Machia, and they did skip over a lot of that. So I think that's good and bad. Obviously, just kind of seeing fighting and kind of seeing some of the villains and kind of where they're currently at in terms of power levels, what they're able to do would be missed out, and Machia is kind of the perfect training element, but also not spending a whole episode of them fighting is probably a good thing in terms of giving the rest of the season time for everything to happen and to develop the Middle Liberation Army, because obviously these characters kind of came in, they're incredibly powerful, but we know nothing about them, so they're probably going to need a whole episode to kind of be introduced. It looks like there's going to be some kind of fight. I'm sure Shigaraki isn't just going to kneel, so I'm glad that they didn't spend too much time on it, but it would have been very cool just to kind of see the villains get a little bit of 5-minute 10-minute kind of fight in there just to see where they're currently standing before the arc kind of kicked off, to see growth from the beginning to the end. Because right now we jump back in months, jump back in time 2 months. Now we jump back a month and a half, so they've already gone through that whole training arc where they're already at their peak now. We didn't see how weak they were originally, so I think that makes it harder to see for power scaling, because Deku, we always know where he's at, but I still think there'll probably be plenty of growth in the Meta Liberation kind of arc coming up here, that it'll be fine.
I mean, like, when was the last time we actually saw them fight?
Oh, they didn't, like, I mean, we saw twice in Toga kind of fight with the Shihasaki arc, but that was like, that was it. We didn't see Mr.
A little Dobby fight.
Yeah, a
little
bit of Dobby
fight. We saw a little bit of Dobby. We saw a little bit of like, I think they were all involved fighting the sand hero dude too. very briefly. Like, so,
Yeah.
but I mean, like that was
They
really
didn't fight in Camino. The
didn't
forest
fight-
arc. The forest arc was the last time we probably
Yeah.
saw Shigaraki really do anything.
That's
so
crazy.
long ago.
Where does
Yeah.
the second movie fall? The second movie falls briefly in there as well.
It falls after Camino and all that, but again, Shigaraki
Yeah.
didn't do anything.
No, Shigaraki wasn't. He showed up with that badass red coat, and that was it.
Yes.
But
So again, we have not seen a lot of them except for Dabi and Toga, and like Dabi, everything he does is just gonna be really big flames. But like understanding where Shigaraki is, ideally the main antagonist to Deku, who we've seen had huge growth. I mean, Deku's a different character than where he was in the forest arc, and maybe this is just going to be a very sped up process of getting Shigaraki to that point, I guess. But still, not kind of getting that benchmark of like, wow, Shigaraki needs to grow so much to be able to keep up with Deku. Right now, they're kind of keeping it ominous, and I'm sure it'll be revealed soon. But right now, Shigaraki still doesn't feel like a threat to Deku at all. With where Deku is right now, Shigaraki is not a threat.
Yeah, because I mean, he has the biggest counter to him. Like Shigaraki's whole thing is just like grabbing onto people and decaying them, and now he has Black Whip, so he just
And
Black
Deku
Whips
can
them
move
and,
even faster than ever too now.
Yeah,
But in typical Shigaraki fashion, like he's found a shortcut because I mean we start this episode off with him being zapped and having this massive thing in his stomach, like so he's clearly not doing the traditional shonen training arc thing. He's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna skip all that.
He's called the heir to One for All for a reason. I'm just assuming that there's a great power that's being pumped into his stomach literally right now. So we know that's where it's gonna be, but. So this is probably gonna be more in kind of the mental side of Shigaraki.
I'm just saying, I guess my main point of that is like, it seems like crazy that you have like such a huge gap in time where Midoriya is constantly leveling up, and then you basically have like point A to point B for Shigaraki, and that's like it. Like there's like it feels like it's such quick, but they're writing it properly where it's like, yeah, you don't get these crazy like training like growth moments and stuff like that. We're just gonna like do the IKEA skip and like we're gonna find that like you're gonna cut through half the store and we're just gonna electrify it, right? So. I think it's good that they're illustrating that they're not just taking like months and months and just being like, yeah, here's like 5 minutes of like fighting footage and that's it, right? Like there's more to it.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't know anything. I mean, with the Shigaraki backstory, all the hands on his body, I think we kind of already had that vibe. So it was cool for it to be confirmed officially, but we don't know exactly what happened to his family. Shigaraki doesn't know exactly what happened to his family. So while it being confirmed that every hand on his body was his family's, I didn't feel like that was a huge shocker or like, oh my god, like Shigaraki's more messed up. Like we already knew he was fucked up in the head, and this is just pretty much confirming everything we knew about him. But I think him making such a big point that him not knowing what's going on with the family means we're getting a full Shigaraki backstory soon. I don't think they'd make such a big point of it if we weren't. And I'm excited to learn what exactly happened with them, because this was Nana Shimura's grandson, nephew, something like that.
Yeah,
so like where exactly that went wrong, what happened to his family, and how he got into All for One's hands is a very big part of the story that we don't know yet, that I'm very, very excited to see.
Yeah, it's something I didn't really think about it too much, right? It's like Shigaraki shows up, he looks super edgy and stuff, and you're like, okay, cool, I accept this. This is the villain, I accept it. And it wasn't until this point of where I was like, oh, I like kind of want to know what's his deal. Like, what is his deal exactly?
Yeah.
Well, at first we didn't really care.
Drawing to it. Yeah, well, that's just it, right? Like you were just like, oh, he's just got hands attached to him. Wonder what that's about. And then he kind of like, I think we talked about this in pre-show. He kind of hints to it in like one of the first season, right?
Yeah, and like season 1, I think he calls it like his father or something like that.
Yeah, and I guess you can like draw parallels to like maybe All for One, maybe, but like you don't really know for sure. And then this just kind of locks it in and confirms it, right? My question is, there was like when they showed like the row of pictures in the back, there was a dog in there. Where's the paw? There's no paw.
That
hand.
is true. It was like the first image you see too.
Yeah, it's like a corgi. Yeah.
Well, you can't get a paw to like wrap around
Well,
like this, kind of lay flat.
Obviously, but why after they walk in with a handful of carts and the first image they show is the corgi? Like, it just wasn't the right timing. Like I get it was supposed to be like his whole family died there, but like show like the mother first and then the corgi, not the corgi first. That stood out to me too, and I laughed at that even when it was happening, even though it was a serious moment. But,
yeah. You know what the part that scares me though is that My Hero Academia may end up on does the dog die? Like it's gonna end up on that website. Like this is gonna be
it's gonna be there. It's gonna be there.
It's gonna be there, man.
They showed it to us already.
Like that's That's rough, man. I like that's like I mean I can watch villains and heroes die all day, but like don't kill the dog, man.
It's
Like
My Villain Academia down. We're going down a dark path, my dude. We're going to explore new things we never had. And dogs dying is one of them.
just give me more unmasked Spinner, more twice. Give me
No,
give
I'll
me
pass on that.
unmasked Mr. Compress. Like that was like
It is weird that he just gave up on that. I guess it's because he's run League of Villains, so he doesn't need the mask.
Yeah.
But like we hadn't really ever seen that much maskless him. Like we saw it for a second here and there, but like he's just fully given up on it now.
Okay, well, no, it's not fully maskless. He still
got
has
a ski mask on. He's got like
he
a
still
ski
has a
mask,
ski mask. So
Which, whatever, yeah. But okay, anything else from this overall episode we want to go back and touch on?
Not, yeah, no. I'm like,
I think I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah. I think it's like, I mean, it's kind of cool. It'd be nice to know a bit more about the Meta Alliteration Army, because I mean, they revealed that they have like a fucking satellite, like, and the blatant rip off of a gorilla song is like one of their corporations, like. It's,
yeah, feel good.
Feel good. Yeah,
I do like that. But you got to think, this is episode 21. So we have 5 full episodes left. 4 of them will be full episodes, and 5 will kind of be setting up a big cliffhanger for whatever next season's going to be. So that leaves 4 solid. I mean, at least 4 solid episodes to learn a lot more about it. One of those will probably be a full Meta Liberation Army arc. 3 of them will be whatever's happening kind of within the battle or whatever's going to happen here. Then 1 setting up the conclusion of that and kind of where Deku's and how the heroes are probably going to come back into this story. So I think we have plenty of time to learn a lot about these guys, and I'm very excited too, because like everyone was kind of saying that, like he even made a joke to like how it was kind of like a retro kind of fan club.
He was a throwback. Yeah.
So obviously they've been around for a while. That even the Doctor was surprised. So there's a lot to learn about these guys that I'm very excited about. But I think we need to focus on something even more important, which is who is going to be the first villain to get the Plus Ultra Award of Season 5. Dylan, I'm going to let you kick it off.
yeah, it's easy. It's Shigaraki. I mean, like fighting for that long, like consistently for that long is insane. Of where he fought so long that he's only sleeping 3 hours once every 2 days. And he's so dedicated that he is just getting his random like friends to like help him rest for those 3 hours.
I mean, fuck, I don't even know if I could play video games for 48 hours straight, let alone fucking fight a giant. Like that, I will give it to him. I mean, I'm just going to give it to Shigaraki as well. Obviously, he was the highlight of it. Maybe the Doctor or Machia would have been like tied for number 2. No one else really did much during this episode, but Shigaraki's clearly a changed person. Clearly, he's powerful enough to keep up with Machia for 48 hours at a time, which is impressive after a month and a half. So I think it's a pretty easy give.
Yeah, I mean, like, and not only that, but it shows that he's like a good leader too, because he's letting all the other members rotate and like literally take like days rest while he's just like, I'm just gonna keep battling, and he's stoked about it too, right? Like that's the other thing. Like he is like relishing in this, and I think it just shows like such a change than his original character, right? So
I do want to say, can we give an honorary mention to one person though? And that's Johnny, the little Nomu.
I remember seeing Johnny, and I'm like, his name is like he's like a teleportation. He's like this weird little lapdog thing. Like he's Johnny
scary.
He
was creepy looking.
Yeah, he just starts
some of the Nomu when they were
people.
really creepy looking. Like we didn't. I don't think it even showed Hood. Hood was somewhere in there theoretically because this all happened before that. But there were other ones that there was all those ones in there were high ends, which is also something we didn't really touch on, but incredibly scary. That there's 20, 30 high end in there.
Yeah, and just one was able to go up against Endeavor, like the number 1 hero, and like almost beat him actually. So like, I don't know, why don't you just release them all at once?
Oh, right. Yeah, maybe they're not ready yet. I mean, obviously it all happened 2 months in the future, so maybe they are being. I mean, that would be happening right now in the story in current time. So don't go jinxing the heroes. We don't know what's gonna happen in next season yet. So. But okay, let's wrap it up there. Thank you everyone so much for tuning it in. I can't believe this is like week 5 of having all the same pick for Plus Ultra Awards now, which is crazy. Hope you guys enjoy this episode and looking forward to the rest of My Villain Academia as much as we are. It was a great kickoff to the arc, and the arc is only going to get crazier from here. So if you did enjoy this, make sure to come back next Saturday where we'll be breaking this all down again live on YouTube if you want to come in and stop by. Otherwise, you can find it on YouTube and podcasting services later on in the day, all pre-recorded, so you can check that out there as well. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoy this class, and we'll see you all next Saturday.